Hey everyone, it's Nico, and this is The Meeting, which is a recently released NES puzzle platformer, which was funded in late 2023 on Kickstarter, and is now available on the Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch, courtesy of 8-Bit Legit, and also on Game Boy Advance. Now, the NES and Game Boy Advance versions are physical, and you could purchase those through MegaCat Studios' website, which I have a link to in the description below. And then the Nintendo Switch version is digital only, and you can find that on the eShop. Now, this is a game that was developed for the NES, so it doesn't matter which platform you play it on. There's parity across the board with all three. Plays exactly the same, it looks the same, so expect this to just be an NES game even if you play it on the Switch. Now, in The Meeting, you're going to play as a ghost minotaur who's looking to kind of reassemble his body after he's been butchered, hence the name The Meeting, and so you're just going to play as his head. Now, over the course of the game, you're going to earn new powers that you can use, and you switch between them with the select button. The game does a really great job of explaining these to you as you earn them, and you'll need to use these to solve like the puzzles on each of the different stages. In each area is like a slab of meat from the Minotaur's body, and it's kind of themed differently than the others. There's really great chiptune music. I enjoyed the pixel art is pretty well done. I think it's on par with what you would expect from an 8-bit style game. And the way you control your Minotaur is you just move with the D-pad. The B button is your attack button, so you can tap it and you'll do kind of this like headbutt lunge forward. And some of the enemies can be eliminated with this. You can also hold it down and you'll do like this longer forward lunge, but that uses some of your power meter, which I'll explain in a second. And then the A button jumps, and then in the top right corner you can see, as I'm playing through this, there's different abilities or powers that you'll have, and you earn those steadily throughout the first few areas, like the first half of the game, and you can switch between them with the select button. And to use the one that you have equipped, you need to push up on the D-pad and B at the same time, and then some of them can also be deactivated, so you just hit that same input again. And it takes a tiny bit of getting used to, because you got to get used to doing up and B, and also sometimes on the fly you kind of got to switch between these to pick the one you need. So you'll often use these different abilities to reach the key, and after you acquire the key, then you'll need to head to the exit of that particular level. And that's how you progress throughout the game. The only exception to that is at the end of each area there's a boss, and to finish that level you just need to simply defeat the boss. So you're always going to be looking for the key first. Sometimes there will be switches you need to hit. It'll generate platforms that you're going to use to maybe reach the key or reach the exit. Each level felt very different than the others as I was playing through it, and it constantly felt like they were introducing new challenges for me to overcome, and I really enjoyed that about it. I think the first half of the game, from a difficulty perspective, is pretty well balanced. They introduce the mechanics in the challenge kind of gradually, but then once you get about halfway through, when you have all the different powers, it gets really difficult really fast. And thankfully you kind of have infinite lives in a way. You only have 3 lives total before you'll get a game over, but when you do get a game over, it'll give you a password which you can use to continue your progress later if you're done playing for now. Or you could just go over and it'll automatically have your password in. Just hit start on it and it'll allow you to continue right from where you left off. You'll have 3 lives again. You'll be on the level you left off on. So each level does have a password, so you do not lose any progress, and I really like that about it. It's not like you have 3 lives and you have to clear a particular area, like all 5 or 6 levels on 3 lives. So it's really generous and forgiving in that regard, but it is really difficult. So if you don't like old school hard games, I think you'll probably only get about halfway through this before you'll probably get frustrated and then not want to play anymore. So just understand that you need to enjoy a challenge if you're looking to get further than halfway through this game, because it does really ramp up the difficulty halfway through. Now, you can see in the upper left corner there's 2 meters. Now the top one is your health bar. Pretty self-explanatory. If you get hit too many times and you deplete this, you lose a life. The one underneath that is your power meter. Now what uses this is like if you jump and you hold the jump button after, you can kind of float across. So you have a little bit of a hover. This will slowly deplete your power meter. If you hold the attack button and you do the powerful lunge attack, that'll deplete your power meter. And why this is important, because there are times where if you run out of this power and there are no vials to replenish some of it on a particular level, you will essentially be stuck and you cannot proceed on that level. So there's kind of 2 things in these situations you can do. You can either deplete your health and lose the life that you're currently playing on, or you can hit start and then select, and it'll just consume a life and reset the level essentially. And the reason why they have that is because it's possible to be stuck and not be able to proceed. So about halfway through, this power meter is going to become very, very important, because I had plenty of times where the levels after that point required me to be almost perfect with how I used my power in order to solve the mystery of the level and get the key and then get to the exit. So I did have to reset way more times in the second half of the game than I did in the first half of the game. So expect a lot of trial and error, kind of difficulty set around this. As far as my complaints for the game, I think my main 2 complaints kind of stem around minor things. One is kind of the huge difficulty spike around that middle mark, like I mentioned. And then the other is just a small thing, but when you do get a game over and it resets you to the main menu, it has the cursor on like the low difficulty setting, and if you accidentally hit start, you will lose your password that was saved and it'll start you right over on level 1. And I did that a few times, and then I had to go back and watch my footage and see what my password was, which luckily I was recording. Otherwise I would have lost some progress. So those are kind of my main 2 complaints. The level designs are really great. I like the pixel art. I like the music. It controls decent. It takes a little bit of getting used to, like I explained. But other than that, I found the meeting to be pretty enjoyable. So if you enjoy a challenge, check this one out. It's available on Game Boy Advance and the NES physically and the Switch digitally. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.